Hey guys, Jackson. Today I wanted to go through a set that I'm very pleasantly surprised with the build of. I've really been into the ship recently, and I'm just really excited to finally have my hands on one and get a chance to review it. So it's going to be set number 75248, the Resistance A-Wing Starfighter. Um, it is a pretty substantial build. I've been really into A-Wings recently. This is 269 pieces, but it feels pretty bulky and sizable for having what feels like a smaller piece count than it should. Um, and so, yeah, I was really happy to snag this. I like the different color scheme as opposed to really the traditional red A-Wing we always get. Um, yeah, so let me get the camera all focused here and then we can talk about the minifigures first. All right, so in this set, we get two minifigures. We get Snap Wexley and Lieutenant Connix. Pretty cool figs. Obviously, like sequel sets, we don't always get a lot of, or there's not a lot of love for as many characters as there is for the original trilogy and the prequels, and so pretty cool to get another variety of them. I think the badging and designs on Lieutenant Connix's shirt is nice, just to have some sort of rank insignia with some resistance jackets, and then Snap Wexley is really cool. I love the pilot printing from shoulders all the way down to the knees. It covers over the waistband torso. It just looks very seamless. And then the resistance helmet as well is really nice. A lot of good colors and printing on it. And my favorite feature is that the actual helmet has that yellow tinted visor. And so any character you want to put that on will give them, that front facing windscreen or face shield that's on there, and not how a lot of new ones now, like the X-Wing pilots, it's printed on their face, and so you kind of got to use that face. This helmet works with any character, so pretty cool if you want to build custom characters at all. Oh, let's see if we can get this adjusted back. Maybe. All right, sorry. Yeah, like I said, I think that headpiece is really cool because you can modify it around, add different characters, add whoever you want, build yourself as a minifig, and being able to throw that helmet piece on and give yourself the full wind visor is a really cool feature that I just don't see on a lot of other helmet sets. So pretty happy with that. As far as the actual A-Wing goes, there's some stuff on here I really, really like. There's some stuff on here that I'm really shocked it doesn't have. So first off, I think the A-Wing build, it's such a classic streamlined starfighter build. For a while I wasn't that into it just because it felt too basic, right? Like if you wanted to draw up as a 6-year-old any sort of sci-fi fighter that was like some sort of spaceship fighter, it would be this. This is like the little super quick, guns on the side, engines on the back, cockpit sits in the middle, right? It doesn't quite have those unique, or at least to me back in the day, it didn't seem like it had those unique Star Wars features of X-Wings that expand out, and TIE fighters have weird curved wings, and the Millennium Falcon, the driver sits on the edge. Oh, yeah, just all those unique things that make Star Wars. This felt very, to me, just very classic spaceship fighter. Um, and so I just never was that into them. I'm getting more into them now. I'm also currently going through the Alphabet Squadron books right now, which are very prominently have an A-Wing in it, and so that's been very cool for me to sort of be branching out with some intent to learn more about all these other ships. But yeah, I think this Resistance color scheme is really cool. The green, the gold, and the white are very, very cool. I think, waiting to get these sort of pieces where it can angle up correctly here in the front has been really nice. Some of the older A-Wing builds are rough, but it's the pieces they had at the time, so you can't hold that against them too much. The angle they were able to accomplish with these back engines is really cool. These nice big fin pieces that they were able to make, I believe specifically for this set. I don't know if they're really in anything else. But I think that adds such a much needed shape, and the thinness of the blade is really nice. Before, these were brick built, and sometimes that feels so thick that it just doesn't seem as practical. The A-Wings that have this engine ionization trapped before the final exhaust, sort of feels like you get like an inner working of how the engine works, has always been very cool to me. And so again, finding these little things I've always thought were cool that now sort of add up to really liking this ship has been sweet. I love the angles of it that they're able to accomplish with all this different sloping, even underneath. It's got really nice sloping coming up. The A-Wing has that sort of blade edge running all around it. I think they did a really good job capturing that. One of the features I love that they did on this set, I don't understand why they don't do it on other sets, because this set did them so well, is this really minimal landing gear. I mean, that sometimes landing gear can feel very, very bulky. This is really minimal. I really like it. It's just 3 little pegs that swing down, and they fold up. You know, this all tucks away really easily to be able to fly it around. And then whenever you want them, just these 3 little pieces are bent down in. That like huge inspiration for me on wanting to customize other ships is knowing Lego has the ability to do that and doesn't do it. I mean, each of these pieces is what, 1, 2, 3 pieces, so 9 pieces total for landing gear on a ship. I mean, this ship is bulkier. To me, it feels like bulkier than some of the other Jedi starfighters and stuff that probably have similar sizing and weight and stuff, so that could absolutely hold that weight of it very, very nicely. And I think that looks perfect. I'm 100% going to be pulling that apart and copying the landing gear and seeing how I can tweak it and add it to other ships, just because I think that is such a huge perk to this ship that, again, for all the hate that sequels sets get, they're gonna, and sequel Star Wars in general, I don't mind it that much. I think it's pretty good, but they're gonna throw great features that people want on sets that receive all this backlash out the gate, and not include it on sets that are beloved by fans and just want good landing gear on an X-Wing or good landing gear on an Obi-Wan Starfighter. So a little frustrating to see it on this and not see it on other sets, but really cool that Lego finally put it on here. I'm really hoping they push for it more. One of the cool features I appreciate about this is it's got 2 of these spring-loaded shooters here. They're decently hidden underneath. Like if you look head on, but any other angle you want to display it at, they're not out here, which is one of my bigger concerns that they were going to be. Is these look very in universe as, sorry, I can't twist this the right way. These look very in universe as the actual blasters that the A-Wing has, and including them under here as an extra play feature that's hidden and out of sight if you don't want it was important for me to see. And so how you launch them is actually up here at the front, right? There's like these really cool sloped grail pieces, and then there's these black sections right in front of it. You push that down. It's actually a little Technic assembly that's just like 2 or 3 pieces that pushes down in, and all it does is also push down on the back of the stud shooter, but it launches out. And so it's a really cool feature to have secret buttons up here at the top that work to shoot them out. Not loading the stud shooters doesn't look out of place. Keeping it loaded doesn't look out of place. It's actually a pretty cool feature to be able to fly the ship around and be doing that, and then be able to actually launch the I keep saying stud shooters, spring-loaded shooters out of it, and not have it be taking away from the in-universe build. Really cool to see that. Makes me like spring-loaded shooters a lot more when they're able to do something like this. I know it's a feature that they do on like the Ghost and Phantom 2, is that they're hidden away and you move the different guns into place that are able to launch them secretly. The Playscale Razor Crest has the same features. Stuff like that is what I wish they would do more. Obviously, it depends on the ships and stuff and the sizing that they're able to accommodate, but really happy they were able to do that with this. Now, one of the things I'm unhappy with is, I think this sloping they're able to do with those wedge pieces and this, classic cockpit piece looks really good, and it is a huge cockpit in here. So the base of this ship is like a brick. It's like one of those well pieces that, I don't know how to describe it. It's what they used to do for all of the like Star Wars ships or cars, and you get like a really solid base piece that's like a big 6x6, and it's like a stud and a half, or not, it's not, like a piece and a half tall, and it's got Technic pins on the outside that you can connect to, and it just gives you a good sturdy framework to use. It's one of those. And so what they did was just put like a little chair back in there, and then a little wedge piece, and then it's got one of those T slope pieces that just the legs sit around. And so what you end up having is your pilot is really able to sit up in the ship. Like he can really sit up in there, but he's not really held on by any sort of stud, which is good and bad. People are concerned about their legs cracking. Again, I've never had that problem, but that's a concern. And, you know, I think it proportionally fits a pilot well. What I dislike is that surrounding him in there is an entire row. You can see the dark gray studs in there. An entire row of dark gray studs around either side of him and in front of him for the cockpit that are just empty. I mean, it's beyond easy. Oh boy. Sorry. It's beyond easy to me to try and picture, like, you could add controls in here. You could add hand grips for some sort of steering wheel system. You could add little printed tile pieces for, you know, metrics and screens and little punching keypads. You could really dial this in with a really cool cockpit. And there's just this fact that the room is there for it and there's nothing in there frustrates me a little bit. I know for a lot of other ships, the room's not there. You know, they put a little 1x2 printed tile piece as some sort of little cockpit thing, and that's all they had room for. There is substantial room in this that they just don't do anything with. That's a little frustrating to me. I will obviously be taking that into my own hands and customizing. But they did include landing gear. Landing gear and cockpits are my two big sensitive pieces on modern ships, and they at least did one of them. So, got to give them credit where credit is due. And then I guess I look forward to customizing a cockpit piece in there. It does bring me joy to tinker around and make it how it looks, make it how I want it to look. But yeah, so that is this Resistance A-Wing. Underrated ship, underrated set. I think we criticize the sequels a lot, and so they don't get a lot of good sales, but I think that Resistance A-Wing, and it also came with that Resistance Y-Wing, are not bad sets. And because they received a lot of hate and backlash, you can get them for really cheap right now. I was able to snag this A-Wing used, fully complete, all the characters for like $30, shipped to my house. So pretty cool set. Came built. I disassembled the whole thing and then rebuilt it all back up. To me, that adds a lot of fun to it, seeing the disassembly process. It prolongs the build, right? Like a build like this doesn't take very long for an adult to process through. But the disassembly part of it is really cool to get a second chance to study some of the building techniques, study where they do stuff. And for someone who likes modifying my ships a little bit, I appreciate that aspect of a sort of a second run through of areas I might want to improve. So yeah, that's my review of this A-Wing. I really recommend people get it. Or don't get it, so that there's more cheap ones available for me to grab. But I would love to build a little 3 to 5 unit fleet of these things. I think they're so cool. And I think they have a lot of forgiveness for customizing the colorways of them. If you want to, you know, make your own in-universe squad or make them to reflect a certain clone unit. Anything you're doing with those, I think they have a lot of forgiveness in customization. So yeah, happy with the set. Happy with the money I spent on it. I really recommend people get them. Just great display piece, great landing gear, and room for some creativity inside without really needing to modify anything. It's just the open studs are there to add a cockpit in. So minimal takedown effort and just maximum playing creativity. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one.